NBA. Dominating the court with godly talent unlocked. Episode 21. Since head coach David called out the declaration that Santa Clara University is going to win the championship for the new season, the players at Santa Clara University work very hard. They know that when the team has Nmu, it is completely capable of playing Mad March. And what they have to do now is not to delay Nmu. In the second half of the game, Nmu did not play at all. The Santa Clara University players also held their lead well. In the end, Santa Clara University defeated the University of the Pacific by 14.70 to 56. Nmu cut a 20-plus triple-double in 20 minutes in half the game. Half-game clock in. These are the highlights of the game. On the other hand, as long as Nmu is on the field, his performance is terrible. It was only after Nmu came off in the second half that Olavikandi had a chance to play. In the end, he had only 10 points and 7 rebounds in the game. And the hit rate is still a terrible 33%. A 33% shooting percentage at a center already shows that this center is extremely rubbish. Moreover, under the defense of Nmu in the first half, his hit rate turned out to be a duck egg. After the game, Olavikandi didn't even shake hands with the Santa Clara University players. Walked straight back to the players' tunnel. This is the first race at the start of the tour, and I didn't expect the final result to be so crotch. For Olavikandi, this frustrated him. English O'Neal? English Sharks? He now feels that compared to Nmu, he is just a small yellow fish. Two commentators, Carl and Barry, gave post-match summaries. Barry said only one word. Looks like it's time to give the Warriors' general manager a call. What to call for? Everyone knows that Barry is going to recommend Nmu to the Warriors under his real name. Now on the Warriors, there's all-star shooting guard Madman Sprewell. There is the 1995 draft champion, power forward Joe Smith. There's also the all-star small forward, God's left hand Chris Mullin. All-star guard, the originator of the gorgeous crotch change of direction of the ball, point guard Tim Hardaway. Don't look at the Warriors' lineup so luxurious. There are 3 all-stars in the lineup and 1 champion. But their performance in the new season is struggling because there is a problem with the team's defense. Mullin and Hardaway are both Warriors players of the old Nelson era, and they are used to extreme running and bombing. It's a bit overwhelming to defend. Smith's defensive habits are also bad, with frequent leaks. A week into the season, the Warriors' record was 4 straight losses. Barry believes that if the Warriors continue to struggle like this, it's better to continue to mess around for a year. Now, the Warriors are short of a great center. Last season, the Warriors got Joe Smith for a bad year. So this season, if you continue to swing badly, get Amu. Perhaps in the next decade, the Warriors' roster will be laid down. Barry called the Warriors' general manager as soon as he played after the game. The match, in the newspapers the next day, was once again covered by the San Francisco sports newspaper. This time, the sales of newspapers are still very impressive. Next, Santa Clara University embarked on its own crazy winning streak. Known. Condition 1. The University of the Pacific is one of the strongest teams in the West Coast League. Condition 2. Santa Clara University won the game by 14 points when AMU only played half of the game. Solution. What was the record of Santa Clara University against other teams in the West Coast Conference? Answer. Win streak. In the second match, Santa Clara University's opponent was Gonzaga University. In this game, AMU directly beat the center of Gonzaga University into 3 fouls in the opening 5 minutes, directly forced to be replaced by the coach off the court. His substitute is a little man, who is only 203 centimeters tall. Those of the same height as Nmu can be easily crushed by him. Not to mention, the short man 10 centimeters shorter than him inside. With this advantage, Santa Clara University, no, more precisely, it only took AMU half the game to once again lock up the victory for Santa Clara University. For the full game, Nash recorded 22 points, 4 rebounds and 15 assists. Nmu efficiently cut down 36 points, 14 rebounds and 7 blocks. The San Francisco sports newspaper once again gave high-profile coverage of Santa Clara University's victory. The third game of the tour, Santa Clara University versus the University of Portland. Still a victory. This game, the University of Portland began to wrap up Nmu. But once they wrapped up a passer, Nash could always pass the basketball to another player who was empty. That's where a top organization player comes in. The rest of Santa Clara University punished the University of Portland hard for projection. In the opening 10 minutes, the score was 30-15. In the end, the University of Portland had to change its defensive thinking. They abandoned the bag and began limiting Santa Clara University's projection. But in this way, Nmu began to overturn the river and the sea on the inner line again. Rob one's belly to cover one's back. The University of Portland's repeated sideways defensive program eventually led to a 24-point defeat. Start the season with 3 consecutive wins. The San Francisco Sports Journal seems to have become a column for Santa Clara University. As for the University of the Pacific, the San Francisco sports newspaper would add a small line of paper to the top of a large article about Santa Clara University to report on their achievements. 3 consecutive wins are just the beginning for Santa Clara University. In the next matches, both away and at home, Santa Clara University is invincible. So, over the next few months, the headlines in the San Francisco sports newspaper about college leagues are all about Gemini combined for 58 points to beat San Diego Matadors away. Efficient performance. Halftime flower contest. Massacre of St. Mary's Gale. Unbeaten at home. Pepperdine Waves hate Santa Clara. Santa Clara University fans are also counting their winning streak for them. As the winning streak increases, the draft pick predictions of Enmu and Nash are also rising. Enmu has not seen a place on the draft prediction list since the beginning of the season. Came to the current lotto area. And Nash is also steadily rising. And now his draft prediction has come from the end of the original second round to the end of the current one. By January, Santa Clara University's winning streak had reached 15 consecutive games. This 15-game winning streak is a heartbreaking one for Santa Clara. During the 15-game winning streak, Enmu's average per game was 30 points, 15.7 rebounds, and 6.6 blocks. Nash's average is 14 points, 4 rebounds, and 14.4 assists. For Nash, Enmu is really a terrible brush assist machine. Last season, Nash averaged 6.8 assists per game. This season, after the arrival of Enmu, his average number of assists per game skyrocketed by almost 8. His current average number of assists per game is already running against the NCAA all-time average assist record. Episode 22, January 18th. Oracle, Oakland, San Francisco, USA. The Warriors vs. Heat game has just ended. Team head coach Adelman was interviewed. Can you summarize the reasons for the team's loss today? The reporter asked Adelman. Adelman was a little depressed. We did a good job attacking today, but defensively we still fell a little short. I'm going to think about strengthening the team's defensive tactics. Everything will be fine in the next game. After Adelman finished speaking, he turned around as if leaving. His mood wasn't high today, and in the game against the Heat, the Warriors played very badly. Molming is on the inside line. He finished with 36 points, 17 rebounds, and 4 blocks. It can be said that today the Warriors completely lost to Morning. He decided to go home today and take a good look at the video. Let's think about how to strengthen the team's defensive ability. The Warriors roster is indeed not bad, but because of the defense, they just can't play their normal level. It's been 37 games now, but the Warriors are 12-25. If the Warriors still can't make adjustments in the second half of the season, then their goal of going to the playoffs will be aborted. However, at this time, the reporter stopped him. Speaking of defense, Coach Adelman, have you heard of the Santa Clara Shield? Adelman was stunned for a moment before reacting. Are you talking about Enmu? The reporter nodded. Yes, it's Enmu. Adelman looked at the reporter's press card. On the certificate, his work unit is the San Francisco sports newspaper. This is one of the most crazy newspapers reporting on Enmu. The Shield of Santa Clara is also one of Enmu's nicknames. This fully shows Enmu's strength on the defensive end. Adelman nodded. Of course I've heard of it. After all, Santa Clara is still very close to San Francisco. They're also one of the hottest teams in the NCAA right now. The reporter continued to ask, so have you seen their game? Adelman nodded. I've watched a few at home. So what do you think is Enmu's defensive ability? From the perspective of an NBA coach, Adelman carefully recalled Enmu's performance in the game. Finally, he said seriously, if he continues to play the way he is now, maybe after entering the NBA, he will be a strong competitor for the best defensive player. His height, reach, movement speed, it's all outstanding. The reporter slowly said, then, the Warriors' record is not outstanding now, and it is very difficult to reach the playoffs. Has the team's management ever considered choosing him? These words shocked Adelman's heart. If Enmu were on the team today, what would the Warriors' defense look like? At least, Emo Ning wouldn't be so rampant on the inside, right? Even, Enmu can restrict Emo Ning, his height, reach, speed, provide him with very good physical conditions. Swing rotten? Adelman never thought about it, because he's been thinking about how to bring the Warriors to the playoffs this season. However, the Warriors' record has always been up and down. It is now ranked 11th in the West. Enter the playoffs, the difficulty is sky high. Even if they make the playoffs, what awaits them should be the first-round sweep, right? However, now that this reporter mentioned it, it suddenly made him feel that this matter seemed to really be operable. It's management's decision. After dropping this sentence, Adelman left the players' tunnel. He certainly can't express through the media that the Warriors want to mess up. However, after arriving in the players' tunnel, he took out his mobile phone and called the general manager of the team. After the phone call, he talked to the general manager about it. And the general manager actually received a call from Barry when the NCAA first started. The idea was to see how the Warriors were going this season. If you can make the playoffs, do your best to make the playoffs. If the record doesn't work, then swing for another year. Now, it's almost halfway through the season. The Warriors' record is a bit bad. His heart had begun to waver. When Adelman got through the phone, the two had a close conversation. In the end, Warriors general manager Twazek made a decision. Swing rotten. However, this still needs to be agreed by team owner Chris Cohen. So Twazek called his boss. Khan just bought the Warriors this offseason. He grew up in San Francisco and can be said to have grown up watching the Warriors on the ball. Now the team's record is a little troubled, and Cohen is also very uncomfortable. This is a team from his hometown, and he naturally wants to make the Warriors' record a little better. After all, the Warriors have a good record. His prestige in San Francisco was there. The point is that after the Warriors' record is better, the team's valuation and ticket income are also high. When he received a call from Twazek, after much consideration, I directly decided to take Enmu. San Francisco is the American city with the largest number of Chinese people. If Enmu can enter the NBA, then the Warriors will hardly need to worry about the box office. There will be many Chinese fans who support Enmu. Moreover, Enmu's strength is also excellent. Next season, if the Warriors can match Enmu with their current roster, playoffs, definitely expected. As for this season, forget it. Let Jack Smith practice leveling, and let Hardaway and Mullen rest. Next season, start the official Warrior journey. Swing. I want to choose Enmu. Khan made his decision in an instant. After receiving the affirmation from his boss, Twazek breathed a sigh of relief, because he felt as if he was about to reach the peak of his career as a general manager. In this year's draft, the team selected Joe Smith with a top pick. Judging from Joe Smith's data now, it is still very good. If you choose Enmu again next season, the future can be expected. The future can be expected. After the call with Cohen, Twazek spoke to Adelman on the phone, directly laid out the boss's decision. At the same time, he called the scouting department, asked the scouting department to establish a draft tracking document record specifically for Enmu. Warrior strengthened the determination to choose Enmu. In anticipation of next season, Twazek slept beautifully. But when he saw the headline of the San Francisco sports newspaper on the table the next day, he was stunned. The Warriors need the shield of Santa Clara. After seeing this title, Twazek's first thought was, which fool published our thoughts? The operation of NBA teams also needs to be kept secret, especially at the level of this draft. Twazek specifically ordered the staff not to leak yesterday. He just announced his decision last night. The next day, it was known by the reporter of the newspaper. Episode 23. Don't let me find this fool who leaked secrets. If I find it, I will definitely fire you. With this in mind, Twazek opened the newspaper. To be honest, he now has some expectations for what is written in the newspaper. What tone will this report use to narrate this matter? According to the Warriors Insider, the general manager of the Warriors hints, or how to write. But the moment he opened the newspaper, Twazek was disappointed. From the full report, Twazek found one thing. That is, maybe the Warriors staff didn't leak at all. Because San Francisco sports newspaper only analyzed the current situation of the Warriors. The final analysis is that the Warriors need to be Enmu. Now and in the future, Warriors need to be Enmu. And the price they pay is simple. It's about giving up the idea of the hard-to-play playoffs and putting it off like last season. Moreover, the newspaper also made the worst assumption. Even if the Warriors can't choose Enmu. But 1996 was a big year for the draft. Even if you choose another player, it is actually not a loss. After reading this report, even Twazek agreed. This editor, Trenwicks, he thought back for a moment, as if it was this editor named Wicks who had reported the news story that had defeated Camby. He knows the ball very well. Twazek gave Wicks one such assessment. That night, in the Warriors' Oracle Arena, the Warriors played a home back-to-back game. In this game, the atmosphere in the spectator stands of the Warriors was very high. Throughout the game, the fans were chanting. However, he is not shouting for the players. Instead, they shouted a slogan in unison. We want Enmu. We want Enmu. We want Enmu. Warriors head coach Adelman listened to the fans chanting, firmly on the bench. At the same time, I was still laughing in my heart. Do you want to be an Enmu? Fulfill you. I really want Enmu too. So, this game the Warriors faced the bottom-to-last Grizzlies in the West. In the first 3 quarters, the Warriors led by 14 points. In the fourth quarter of the game, it was directly reversed by the Grizzlies. There will be a lot of this kind of ball in the future. Since it is going to rot, it will be rotten to the end. Adelman still feels that the Warriors' 12-win run is still a bit too much. If you want to win Enmu, the most reliable draft pick is the top 3. The most reliable is the champion. Now halfway through the season, it's a 12-win win. Maybe by the end, it's 24 wins. With a 24-win record, it is actually a bit difficult to draw the top prize. Hopefully in all the next games, we can lose in a row. Adelman thought to himself, better a 12-70 record. For the future of Warriors, we have to swing rotten. For my Princeton system, we need MU. The day after the Warriors game ended, it was the Santa Clara University game. Adelman passed on the idea of the team to the players in a more tactful way, and the reaction of the players was different. But most of the main players agree. Smith needed time to level up. Madman Sprewell just signed a big contract, and there is no burden. Mullen needs time to recuperate, and swinging is the friendliest for him. Then there's Tim Hardaway, who is in his contract year next season. If it is rotten, it means that the data can be brushed. Brush a good data, and then take a big contract. In fact, it is still good. The goal set by the Warriors is to swing badly. And the Santa Clara Broncos, 60 kilometers away from them, are aiming for the NCAA championship. As a result, the two teams kept working hard for their respective goals. A month passed quickly. This day is February 10th. For the Warriors, it's just an ordinary game with a 90% chance of losing. But for the Santa Clara Broncos, it was the end of the 1995 to 1996 season, the West Coast Conference season. Over the past few months, Santa Clara University has won an impressive 22 consecutive games. In the playoffs, they also directly finished their opponents. Today is the day of the West Coast Conference, WCC, Grand Finals. And their finals opponent is a team that Santa Clara University fans are very familiar with. University of the Pacific. I can predict the outcome of this game without using my mind. Olavikandi is about to be blown up by Nmu again. On the tour, he played 2 games with Nmu, lost both games, and in those 2 games, he averaged 6 points, 4 rebounds, and 7 turnovers, and shot a measly 36% from the field. The mistake turned out to be the most number in all his data? It was against this backdrop that this final began. Actually, to tell the truth, the level of Olavikandi in college was still good. If you exclude his stats against Santa Clara University, this season he averaged 11 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 blocks while shooting 51% from the field. For a freshman center, that's a good statistic. University of the Pacific can make it to the finals. Olavikandi also played a vital role. However, once he met Nmu, Olavikandi was miserable. In other words, all the centers who are opposite Nmu are miserable. All centers on defense this season shot an average of 31%. Can shoot all centers on the West Coast and defend a 31% min. It's simply a nightmare for someone in the same position as him. Today, Olavikandi has a very correct attitude. After 2 hanging hammers, Olavikandi doesn't dare to look at Nmu now. In this final, excluding the confrontation between Nmu and Olavikandi, the 2 teams played very well. After all, these are 2 of the strongest teams in the West Coast League. However, if you add the situation of MU and Olavikandi pairing, fans can only see one word: crush. Throughout the game, Olavikandi deliberately reduced his number of shots. 5 shots, 2 shots, 4 points. He gave up all his shots to outside players. But the outside players are not very powerful, and they sent 11 blocks to Nmu throughout the game. Full game down. Nmu cut 41 points, 15 rebounds, and 11 blocks. In the end, Santa Clara University successfully lifted the West Coast Conference Championship trophy. This is the only time in Santa Clara University's history that it has won the West Coast Conference. And Nmu has also won many honors such as West Coast League Season MVP, Finals FMVP, Best Rookie, Scoring King, Rebounding King, and Block King. After winning the West Coast Conference Championship, Santa Clara University became the #1 seed in the West Coast League. Getting into the tournament is a foregone conclusion. All they have to do is wait for March Madness. Santa Clara University wins the championship, and it's something to celebrate. The whole team, the entire school, is cheering for the Santa Clara Broncos. After the carnival, Nash and Nmu sat on the sofa in the bedroom. Nash looked at the FMVP trophy belonging to Nmu and many awards on the coffee table and was envious. He glanced at the date of the wall calendar and suddenly said, "And I have an idea, I don't know how to talk about it." Episode 24. And I have an idea, I don't know whether to say it or not. Nmu comfortably crossed Erlang's legs. With his hands behind his head, he said, "Steve, what's so hard to say?" Nash rolled his eyes. "What else can I hide? I just think that we are all about to enter the NBA. So why not feel the rhythm of the NBA in advance?" After Nmu heard Nash's proposal, he felt quite good. But after thinking about it, he shook his head again. "Steve, the Warriors game sucks. Watching them play, it's better for us to train in the stadium ourselves." Nash grinned. He looked at his roommate and complained, "Don't you know why Warriors are so bad?" Nmu replied casually, "Of course I know, swing rotten. Choose me." Listening to Nmu said so naturally, Nash was angry. He hammered Nmu and said, "You guy, Aren't you excited at all? If there was a team willing to pick me, I would definitely be excited and unable to sleep. Enmu sat up straight and looked at Nash. Steve, do you think I have no pressure? I'm stressed too. The Warriors want to pick me. Other teams must also want to choose me. I'm under a lot of pressure. Nash listened to Enmu's words. I only feel that this guy's words are full of thick for sigh. He said squarely, okay, stop. I'm not talking about going to the Warriors game. Which team is that going to play? We still have classes and training. Nash pointed to the wall calendar on the wall. This year's NBA All-Star Game starts on February 11th. There should be a celebration ceremony in the school these 2 days, and when the celebration is over, we will go straight to San Antonio to see the All-Star? Enmu reacted at this time. It turns out that Nash said that to feel the atmosphere of the NBA confrontation in advance is to go to the All-Star Game. I have to say that the atmosphere of the All-Star Game will indeed be much better than the atmosphere of the Warriors. Rookie matchups, three-point shooting contests, dunk contests, or anything like that. Let's just go straight to the main game. After Nash finished speaking, he looked at Enmu expectantly. Enmu nodded and said, actually, I want to go too. After the school celebration, let's go play together for a few days. Nash jumped up from the sofa happily. I'll go buy a plane ticket tomorrow. No, Steve. Enmu stopped Nash, who wanted to go back to the bedroom. We don't have tickets for the main game. Nash smiled and said, don't worry, my father can get it. Enmu nodded, okay, then it's all over to you. Nash's father was a football player. Although he is not compatible with basketball, it does not affect his father to have several friends who play in the NBA. Getting 2 NBA All-Star tickets is certainly a simple matter. The next few days, Santa Clara University officially organized a celebratory evening. Overall, this is the most brilliant achievement that Santa Clara University has achieved in sports. Academically, Santa Clara University is not short of achievements. The city of Santa Clara is part of Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley is also a high-tech industrial park in the United States. Academically, Santa Clara University has nothing to worry about. Although Santa Clara University's ranking does not make up for the Ivy, but their location is so good. No other university in the entire United States is as close to Silicon Valley. The employment situation at Santa Clara University, in such a close proximity to Silicon Valley, is very optimistic. Originally, Enmu came to bleed and was looking forward to going to Silicon Valley to work hard. As a result, I want to play basketball by mistake. After the ceremony, Enmu and Nash and the head coach took a leave of absence and flew directly to San Antonio. The All-Star kicks off on February 11th with the Rookie Challenge. Nash and Amu arrived in San Antonio on the afternoon of February 12th, and it was already early evening when they walked to the hotel. When checking in at the hotel reception, a big black boy with sunglasses who was noticeably taller than the others shook his head as he walked. Today's dunk contest is really inferior. When I get into the NBA, I definitely have to get a dunk king. After Enmu heard his words, he laughed twice. When the black boy heard this, he immediately walked to Enmu. He took off his sunglasses. Raise your head and look up at the big man in front of you. Originally, he also wanted to say a few provocative words. However, after seeing that this person was more than a head taller than himself, he was a little uneasy. Enmu looked at him, and he also looked at Enmu. Eventually, the black boy reached out and said, hello, my name is Kobe Bryant. Enmu also stretched out his hand. Hello, my name is Enmu. After hearing Enmu's name, Kobe Bryant's eyes suddenly widened. Enmu? Are you Enmu? Is it the AMU who blew up Camby and took Santa Clara University to 22 victories? On the side, Nash also completed the registration. He came to Enmu's side and said proudly, yes boy, he is Enmu. Bryant continued, and I'm your fan. I went to high school in Raul Marion in Philadelphia. I was the MVP of last year's Adidas ABCD training camp. Enmu naturally knew what the black brat in front of him was about. Nash also faintly heard Kobe's name. The three chatted happily. Did you come to see the All-Stars too? Nash asked. Kobe nodded and said, yes, I just finished watching the dunk contest. I have to say, this year's dunk contest is really spicy. When I get into the NBA this year, I'll definitely participate in the dunk contest. Let those who participated in the dunk contest this year see what a dunk is. IMHO, those who dunked this year are rubbish. Especially that Stockhouse trash. It's a shame for Philadelphia. Bryant spared no face in satirizing the 1995 Tanhua show. Nash rolled his eyes. Kobe, you're too proud. Those guys are NBA-level players anyway. Kobe Bryant raised his eyebrows and said confidently, I am definitely better than Starkhouse. You know, Starkhouse and I singled out once some time ago, and I blew him up. Nash looked at the kid who was still in high school in surprise. Kobe continued to say triumphantly, I'm not going to go to college, I'm going to draft this year. I could still be selected by the lotto. The more the three of them chatted, the happier they became. So they simply sat down on the sofa in the hall and began to chat. It wasn't until 11 o'clock that the three were ready to go back to the room. And Mu said before Kobe returned to the room, "Kobe, if you go to the dunk contest and win the championship, maybe the dunk contest will be canceled the next year." Kobe Bryant's face is full of black lines. What Kobe didn't know was that in real history, after he won the championship in 1997, the league simply canceled the subsequent All-Star dunk contest. Later, because Karga entered the league was reopened. Without Kate, Bryant would probably be the last dunk king in NBA history. Kobe turned to leave, but Mu stopped him again. Also, will you get up at 4 in the morning tomorrow to train? Episode 25, February 13th, the last day of All-Star Weekend. At the same time, it was also the most gorgeous game of the All-Star Weekend. On this day, at 4 o'clock in the morning, Mu came to the outside of Kobe's room. "Oh my God. And how crazy you are." Kobe looked at the time on the clock in the room and looked at Mu in disbelief. Mu smiled and said, "Let's go." Steve got up too. "It's hard to come to San Antonio, can't leave a love story here, then leave a good basketball memory here." Kobe thought about it seriously and then agreed to Mu. "Love or something, counted as a hammer. Basketball is my girlfriend. What I like the most is to hold the ball with both hands and break through the tight defense," Kobe said to Mu seriously. But Mu heard in Kobe's words was not a serious meaning. Soon, the three of them finished washing up and arrived at a field outside the hotel. There are also streetlights next to the wild course. February 13th, it is still the winter range. However, San Antonio is located in Texas. It is one of the southernmost states in the United States, although not as bright as the sun in Miami. But the climate is mild, to be honest, and it feels good to get up early to practice, Kobe Bryant said, picking up the basketball and directly buckling a large windmill. After he finished buttoning, he looked at Nash. Steve, how do you feel about this dunk of mine compared to Starkhouse?" Nash evaluated objectively. "It's about the same as Starkhouse, but if you want to win the honor of NBA Dunk King, you have to work hard." Kobe sneered, unconvinced. "You can't even dunk the dunk, so don't stand here and talk without back pain. I'm the man who singled out Stackhouse." The head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers saw it firsthand. Nash was choked by Kobe and was speechless. His matchbox bounced, and he really couldn't dunk the basket. He looked at Mu for help. Mu smiled slightly and came to Kobe. "Steve is actually right, although your windmill buckles very well, but it lacks its own style. If you want your dunk to be remembered, you have to have your own style." After Kobe heard Mu's words, his eyes lit up slightly. Mu's words are very innovative. He was very curious about what his style was. "Keep talking, Ann." Bryant was eager to know what style the dunk was divided into. Mu said unhurriedly, "It's actually very simple. Jordan's dunk. What was your first impression?" "Of course it's floating," Kobe answered without hesitation. Mu continued to ask, "What about Wilkins' dunk?" "Violence." Bryant continued to answer. Mu nodded. "That's right. Dunks are divided into two types, flowing and violent. Each one has its own charm, and your dunk just now, it's not in either style at all. In this aspect of floating, you don't think about it. The time in the air is not good. As for violence, you can't reach it either. Too thin. Strength is not good." Mu said and squeezed Kobe's arm. In the United States, players do not gain muscle until they enter the NBA or in their first year of college. This is to ensure that their height growth is adequate. Premature muscle gain is not conducive to height growth. And Kobe Bryant's arm now? Mu's muscle dimension can catch up with Kobe Bryant's too. So, little brother, keep practicing. Mu smiled and patted Kobe Bryant's head. Kobe didn't like to be touched on the head, but he didn't have any resistance to this kind of touching from Mu. At this time, Nash smiled and said, "And why don't you show him these two styles?" Kobe looked at Mu in shock. "And can you buckle it out in both styles?" Mu moved his wrists and ankles. The tone was relaxed. "Despicable is not talented. He is an all-rounder." "Kobe, depend on. Pretend to be forced and pretend like this? First despise talents, and then say that you are an all-rounder?" Kobe didn't believe it anyway. "Come on. If only you could deduct these two feelings today." "I'll eat the ball." Nash coaxed from the side. "That's what you said. Don't regret it for a while." He poked in Mu's arm. Hurry up, hurry up. "Quiet. I'm expecting Kobe to eat the ball." After that, he put the basketball into Mu's hand. Mu took the basketball and walked outside the three-point line with a smile. Put the ball, accelerate, rush to the free throw line, and jump straight to full strength. Give full play to your stagnant power in the air, and then lightly dunk the basketball into the basket. This shot is almost no different from the free throw line dunk in Jordan's highlights. Kobe's eyes widened. "Oh my God, is this a dunk from a 7-foot center? This bounce, this stagnant. It's so ethereal. Crouch. And, you're awesome. Heifer takes a plane. It's awesome. Kobe came to his senses. I don't really want to eat balls, do I? And, one more violent one, if we say, the difficulty factor is 100 out of 100. The flowing dunk has a difficulty factor of 3 for Amu. Then the difficulty factor of violent dunks for Enmu is 0. Enmu took the basketball and sprinted to the basket again from outside the three-point line. Rush to the basket and jump with all your might. Grab the ball with one hand with your right hand and streak a large windmill through the air. Boom! The power of God's chosen body was once again released by Enmu. I lean on. Crouch. Crouch, crouch. This dunk. Bunker up. Kobe listened to the roar of Enmu's dunk and then looked at the basket. In his line of sight, it can be clearly seen that the basket has been dunked by Enmu and lowered a lot. He said slowly, Heifer sat on a nuclear bomb, and the bowl blew up. Nash spat on the sidelines. Kobe, don't hurt heifers. I'll have to drink its milk. Also, is it time for you to eat balls? This. Kobe Bryant looked at the basketball and was speechless. But, right now, a figure appeared on the side of the field. To be honest, if an ordinary person sees this figure, he will definitely take out his mobile phone and prepare to call the police as soon as possible. However, the 3 people who are now on the pitch are not normal people. At least, Enmu's height is about the same as this big man. Wow, youngster, you're amazing. Kind of great. Shaq's dunk power too. Shaq O'Neal looked at the basket that had been ravaged by Enmu and said slowly, it just so happens that I can't sleep. Why don't we play? Just right, it's a warm-up for tonight's All-Star game. Episode 26. O'Neal went to bed early last night. Because San Antonio really has no entertainment. Nightclubs, bars, all too low level. For the great Shaq, he felt that the nightclubs here were not worthy of him. This San Antonio is country for O'Neal, or last year's Phoenix All-Star. O'Neal remembers that in the nightclub in Phoenix, he met several nice girls. Because I went to bed early and remembered a few girls in Phoenix in the middle of the night. O'Neal woke up early. No sleepiness at all. So he walked out of the hotel and wandered the streets of San Antonio. However, this is also a smart shark. He will definitely not go out of the rich area. Otherwise, he might be dead on the streets the next day. The rich neighborhood of San Antonio, not big. As he walked, he came to this wild field. The roar of Enmu's dunk was heard. At this time, there are still people who can practice. They must love basketball. O'Neal immediately decided to say hello to the little guys. Hey, Sark. When Kobe saw O'Neal, he immediately exclaimed in surprise. Do you remember me? I went to your dressing room to get autographs. O'Neal thought for a while, and then laughed. Boy, so it's you. I remember that you asked Penny for an autograph first, and he didn't sign it for you. You were about to cry at that time. Or I signed your name to coax you well. How? Do you still cry your nose lately? Kobe was a little embarrassed by what O'Neal said. Embarrassedly said, of course not. I even blew up Stark House some time ago. Recently, Bryant has begun to talk about blowing up Stark House. O'Neal nodded. Very good. It seems that you have the ability to enter the NBA. Kobe nodded excitedly and said, I'm ready to draft after graduating from high school. Just this summer. After O'Neal and Kobe finished chatting, they looked at Enmu and Nash again. Wow, you're about the same height as me. O'Neal said to Enmu. Enmu was not so excited when he saw O'Neal. Hello, Shaq. Nash also greeted O'Neal. Bryant added, the two of them are also at the top of the draft list. There's almost no problem getting into the NBA. O'Neal doesn't care much about those. In his eyes, Kobe is just a small fan of the past. Enmu and Nash are also just rookies. And he, Shaq O'Neal, eliminated basketball god Michael Jordan last season. At the same time, he is also one of the 4 major centers. Young and promising, with unlimited potential. This is O'Neal's evaluation of himself, and it is also the evaluation of him by the outside world now. He clapped his hands. Guys, how about a 2v2? Kobe was naturally very excited. Good. Shaq, can I team up with you? O'Neal laughed. Of course. He looked at Enmu again. Man, your dunk is great, but I don't know how it is on the court. Enmu said unhurriedly, when you get to the court, you will know. With the God's chosen body, he will naturally not be afraid of the challenge from O'Neal. In fact, he's still very excited. When God's chosen body meets the toughest center in NBA history, what kind of spark will erupt? Kobe Bryant was now so excited that his voice trembled. Shaq, let's change the half. This basket can't be played. O'Neal looked at the basket, and he had only seen Enmu's windmill dunk just now. I haven't noticed that the basket was actually deformed by Enmu. Wild court, the quality of the basket is not very good. O'Neal smiled and shook his head. In his opinion, Enmu's deformation of the basket is entirely due to the quality of the basket, not the problem of Enmu's personal strength. Looks like I'll have to be a little more careful when dunking later. And Mu can deform the basket, and I may directly dunk the basketball hoop to pieces. Come on. After speaking, he looked at Mu and Nash. Let's try an NBA-level confrontation in advance. Asian boy, I'll keep some strength. Otherwise, you won't feel good today. O'Neal grinned. But for Kobe's eyes, his smile was a little gloomy. Kobe glanced at Mu worriedly. Although he and Mu have only known each other for less than a day, Kobe feels that he and Mu are the kind of good friends who see each other. He didn't want to see Mu being hung by O'Neal. And Kobe just spoke. Mu gave him a reassuring look. Don't worry, just come normally. The game hasn't started yet, and no one can predict the outcome or defeat. Speaking of which, Kobe now admires O'Neal's attitude so much. But Bryant and O'Neal certainly didn't know. In another decade, Kobe's attitude towards O'Neal will change from adoration to hatred. This thing is also full of drama. Mu looked at O'Neal, who was not gaining weight now, and Kobe, who was delicate. Young OK group, yes. He looked at Nash again and thought of a group name, pair of Silicon Valley double heroes. Come on, Shark. Amir Kino, a sports reporter for the New York Times, walks down the streets of San Antonio. As one of the most subscribed newspapers in the United States, the New York Times has strong traffic. San Francisco sports is a younger brother compared to the New York Times. As a reporter sent to San Antonio to cover the All-Stars, Kino initially considered himself lucky. Because he's just a trainee journalist, he secretly decided in his heart that he must do a good job of this report. However, he encountered an annoyance. In a dunk contest that just ended a few hours ago, when he wanted to ask about the championship after the game, he was stumbled by fellow reporters. In the end, he didn't get any decent manuscripts at all. Angry, Kino ran to the bar and had some drinks. He was getting ready to go back to the hotel, but he found 4 people on a field on the street. Moreover, looking at the height is the height of a basketball player. The hotel where NBA players stay is not far from this wild field. Could it be that NBA players came out to train and play? Intrigued, Kino walked over. That's O'Neal? Kino rubbed his eyes. Alcohol made his brain a little confused. But he recognized O'Neal anyway. Who are the remaining people? Kino really didn't recognize it. However, since O'Neal is on the court, several other people must also be NBA players. Are they going to play? Wild ball duel for NBA players? This seems like a nice gimmick. Kino took out the camera he was carrying with him and pointed it at the field. Episode 27. The two sides went to the other half. O'Neal threw the basketball to Nash. Let you attack first, or you may not have a chance in a while. O'Neal didn't take Mu seriously at all. Today's 2v2 is just to make yourself sweat. It's also a warm-up for tonight's All-Star game. The race is about to start. However, at this time, a voice suddenly appeared in Mu's mind. Ding! The host triggers random tasks. Mission description: defeat O'Neal and win the game. Mission reward: Iron Hammer of Destruction. After hearing the task, Mu was slightly stunned, but immediately came to his senses. Oh, Hammer of Destruction. Another center in the black basket, the stunt of the miracle generation at Sushi Shiera. I thought that dimensional-level defensive response nerve would be my second skill. But I didn't expect that because of the chance encounter with O'Neal, I actually triggered the reward of Iron Hammer of Destruction. The adult world is only 3 words. I want it all. Mu's eyes were full of wildness. O'Neal was stared at by Mu at this time, and he felt that a Tyrannosaurus Rex was looking at him. This guy is very imposing. The competition has officially begun. Nash basketball passed the basketball to Mu's hands. After Mu took the ball, he passed it back to Nash. Nash has the ball on the outside. Bryant immediately pasted in front of Nash. Kobe Bryant at this time still did not enter the NBA. In terms of strength, it is about the same compared to Nash. There is no pressure to be selected for the best defense for many years in a row. Nash protected the basketball and observed Mu's running position. When Mu passed the basketball into Nash's hand, he quickly cut directly towards the inside line. Without any hesitation, Nash threw the basketball toward the basket. O'Neal only felt a gust of wind blowing around him. When he looked at Mu again, he was surprised to find that he was already hanging from the basket. Yes, boy, the air cut speed is good. O'Neal whistled. This ball is for you. Next I have to be serious. Mu serves to Nash. Nash beckoned Mu to come and block the demolition. After the block, Nash quickly broke through to the inside line. O'Neal changed his guard immediately and followed in Nash's footsteps. Nash faced O'Neal's defense without any hurry. When he was at Santa Clara University, he often practiced with Mu. First, exercise Nash's ability to play small and big. Second, exercise the ability of Mu to prevent small things. After a few months, Nash was more calm when facing the big man. Facing O'Neal's defense, Nash suddenly changed his rhythm. O'Neal's defensive center of gravity was slightly raised, and Nash immediately accelerated to break through to the basket and hit a backhand. 2-0. The Silicon Valley duo scored 2 goals in a row. O'Neal's face began to turn serious. Sharks can't be careless, he reminded himself internally. On the other hand, it is also a player who is about to enter the NBA through the draft. 2v2 is not the same as 5v5. 5v5 with the help of teammates, the field space is crowded. But in the case of 2v2, the space on the field is open. O'Neal has to give it his all. Enmu once again passed the basketball to Nash. This time, Bryant also took out all of his defensive ability. He and O'Neal played together and were beaten 2-0 by the other side. This can't be. Kobe roared inwardly, and at the same time increased his physical confrontation with Nash. Nash held the basketball steadily, changed direction, and accelerate to kill inside. In the confrontation with Kobe, Nash went to the basket. At this time, Enmu and Nash looked at each other. Nash threw the basketball near the basket again. O'Neal looked at the arc of the basketball and felt that this ball should be a 3-3. It's time for the Sharks to perform. O'Neal was ready to jam Enmu and then take this rebound. But unexpectedly, there was a strong force behind him. Behind O'Neal, Enmu jumped high, relying on his long arm span after receiving the basketball. Smashed the basketball into the basket with a thunderous force. Whoosh! Enmu successfully blocked O'Neal. 3-0. Next to the venue, Kino, who was hiding behind a trash can and secretly photographed, successfully captured this moment. After seeing this partition, his head instantly sobered up. At this time, the sky was also illuminated, with the help of lights and weak sunlight. When Kino looked at the field again, he was surprised. It turned out that only O'Neal was an NBA player on the court. The remaining 3 are not NBA players. So say, that's Septim O'Neal's just now, not an NBA player? At this moment, Kino's heart turned over a monstrous wave. Oh my God. A passerby can be a blocker in the NBA, O'Neal? Big news. It's going to be big news. As a journalist, Kino accurately captured the news. Medea, damn Piers, don't let me interview the Dunk King, who is rare. As far as the excitement of this year's Dunk King is not as good as this passerby Dunk O'Neal. After labor and management put this video and photo back at headquarters. Next time we meet, I will humiliate you to death. Kino once again set his sights on the field. At the same time, muttered, who is this passerby? He is definitely not a nameless. On the field, when O'Neal was detained by Enmu, a strange feeling appeared in my heart. Blocked by a college student? If this was seen by others, then he O'Neal would definitely be laughed at to death. It seems that you can't show mercy to your subordinates. Sharks in full strength. Coming soon, therefore, the confrontation between him and Enmu couldn't help but increase a little. However, O'Neal was surprised to find that Enmu showed no signs of being unable to withstand his strength. O'Neal has a lot of confidence in his strength. In the NBA, few people can withstand their own strength. However, in the streets of San Antonio late at night, can a person appear casually and withstand his own power? Medea, is God playing with me? O'Neal helplessly complained to God. This time, Nash attacked. Bryant's defense finally worked, stealing the basketball directly when Nash broke through and changed direction. O'Neal saw Bryant finish the steal. Shout, nice job, Bryant. He then asked for the ball from Kobe. Bryant received praise from O'Neal and was happy inside. But seeing O'Neal asking him for the ball was not so reluctant. Why can't I come by myself? But in the end, Bryant chose to pass the basketball to O'Neal. O'Neal received the ball and slammed back with all his might. Boy, if you have endured the shark impact, pray that you will not have a concussion. However, a scene that shocked O'Neal appeared. When Enmu was hit by him, he still stood in place. In other words, O'Neal's backlash had no effect at all. O'Neal didn't believe in evil and bumped back again. But what he hit was like a wall cast of reinforced concrete. This guy's strength is so strong? O'Neal was once again shocked by the big man of the Celestial Empire. However, he didn't get too entangled. In this world, there are more powerful people. Moreover, basketball is not simply a competition for strength. O'Neal suddenly joined the ball, turned left and hooked. As one of the 4 NBA centers, he has an absolute advantage in terms of technology. But people forgot his delicate technique because his strength was too strong. This left turn hook fully demonstrates O'Neal's delicacy. If you change to an ordinary center, you will definitely be deceived by O'Neal's fake move. However, Enmu did not. When O'Neal turned around and hooked his hand, Enmu raised his arms high, intensifying the confrontation without any signs of jumping. O'Neal was once again shocked by Amu's good defensive habits. Oh my God, Mutombo's defensive habits aren't that good. He compared Mofong to Mutombo, the best defensive player. But a shark is a shark. When he couldn't shake Enmu up, he leaned on Enmu and turned around silky and flexible. O'Neal, with his hands together, jumped up with all his might, ready to dunk a shark at the basket. Enmu made a preemptive attack and jumped up with all his might. The palm of the hand falls from the sky, like the palm of a god, covering the sky and the sun. The big yellow hand landed on top of the basketball. Bang! O'Neal's dunk was stopped, and he suffered from Enmu's huge force and was actually thrown to the ground by Enmu. Kobe and Nash, staring blankly at the court with their mouths open. Episode 28. Oh my god. Kino could not suppress the surprise in his heart at this time. This yellow center actually flipped O'Neal's hat? Am I dreaming? He wiped his eyes. I feel that I may have drunk too much, causing hallucinations. To prove this, he also pinched his thigh hard. The nerve center transmits the pain to his brain. It's true. A passerby center not only separated O'Neal, but also flipped O'Neal's hat to the ground. It's so perverted. This is not an earthling at all, right? Could it be that Shaq O'Neal encountered aliens in the middle of the night? Kino was already cranky at this point. On the court, after Enmu flipped O'Neal to the ground, he passed the basketball directly to Nash. After Nash came out of the three-point line, he shoved the basketball into the hands of the inside Enmu. O'Neal had already risen from the ground by this time. He immediately stuck behind Enmu. O'Neal's legs were bent, and the weight of the whole person was pressed against Enmu's body. It can be seen that he is taking out the defense seriousness of the other three centers of the four major centers. If Enmu came to turn around at this time, O'Neal would definitely drop a dog and gnaw mud. However, Enmu did not do this. In this world, the most crushing thing for others is to defeat him in the best way he is good at. Boom. Enmu dribbled the ball back, and O'Neal was immediately pushed back. When Kobe saw this situation, everyone was confused. He originally only thought that Enmu was a player who could rule in the NCAA. But now, his senses for Enmu had completely changed. This is the first time in Kobe's memory that O'Neal has suffered a loss in strength. O'Neal also feels a little unreal now. When he pushed Enmu just now, Enmu didn't move. But now that Enmu hit him on his back, he was hit by Enmu and retreated repeatedly. Just when his heart was tumbling into the sea, Enmu's second impact followed. This time, O'Neal has more distance back than last time. Enmu's impact frequency accelerated. Third back collision. Directly break the defense. Turn around and pluck onions against O'Neal's dry land. Da-dong. After 3 collisions, pluck onions on the dry land. Open the mountains and cut down trees. Defend the big sharks. End of the septum. 4-0. From the beginning of the game to the present, O'Neal has not scored a single goal under the defense of Enmu. On the other hand, Enmu's side has already scored 4 points. When Kino saw this, his hands began to tremble. Oh my god. This is O'Neal, and he's not only blocked by this big man, and he was directly hit by this big man and retreated repeatedly. Finally came a deduction. This style of play is O'Neal's style of play. When did it appear in someone else's body? Who is this young yellow center? Kino had doubts in his heart. There's only one ball left. We must seize the opportunity. O'Neal and Kobe began to get nervous. If the goal is not scored, it is 5-0. 5-0, it means the end. Enmu handed out the basketball to Nash again. Nash has the ball on the outside. Boom. Boom boom. The basketball kept hitting the ground and then bouncing. This sound, in the silence of the field, is unusually clear. O'Neal now has the feeling that when playing in the NBA, the opponent makes the last attack and wants to shoot a killer ball. Bryant used all his strength to force Nash's dribbling to death. There are even defenses that have touched the edge of fouls. However, there is no referee here. The rules of the wild court in the United States, as long as it is not too much of a foul, does not count. Those who take the initiative to call foul are all lady cannons. Nash separated Kobe Bryant. Steady luck. Finding the opportunity, he once again passed the basketball to Enmu's hands. Come on. Let me see what other moves you have. O'Neal's eyes flashed. The defensive forces covered Enmu with all their might. Enmu's muscles tensed, and he crashed back with all his strength. Bang! The first dribble, the God's chosen body, dimensional level power burst out. O'Neal was knocked back a big step by him. Enmu suddenly jumped in unison, gained plenty of space to shoot, and put the basketball in his hand towards the basket. O'Neal smiled darkly inside. Is that all? I'm sorry then. Celestial Dynasty boy. O'Neal played with speed and agility that didn't match his weight, soaring into the sky. The giant palm unfolded and went towards the basketball cover in Enmu's hand with all his might. However, when he waited for the cap in the air, he was surprised to find that Enmu did not jump at all. Is this a fake? Yes. Enmu jumped to the basket and dangled O'Neal away, then jumped up with all his might, and the God's chosen body, dimensional power broke out again. The power of the Fury was all vented on the basket. After O'Neal landed, he did not dodge in time. While he was shaken away, he did not escape the fate of being blocked. Whoosh! Enmu finished the dunk. Bang! After O'Neal was detained by Enmu, he fell backwards again and finally fell on the cold concrete floor of the field. Oh! After Enmu finished his violent dunk, the basketball hoop on the field court made a crunching sound. Then, crashed to the ground. Boom! On the ground, dusty. O'Neal slumped on the ground. He looked at Enmu, who was standing next to the basket, his body as tall as a javelin. This is not the scope of Earthlings, is it? Dear God, tell me quickly. This guy is an alien coming down from Mars. Fark. Should I? O'Neal started talking incoherently. Kobe and Nash dodged again and again, so that they were not hit by the collapsed basketball hoop. And Kobe rushed to Enmu's body quickly, and his own hand squeezed Enmu's arm. Bye. Is this muscle or steel? The power of the eruption of the dimensional level power of the God's chosen body has not dissipated. Enmu's arms are now as hard as steel. Nash said, and you are really a heifer sitting on a nuclear bomb today, and you are blowing up? That's O'Neal. You shaved O'Neal 4-0. I'm not bad. I also shot a goal. Nash said. Click, click, click. Kino now desperately presses the shutter of the camera in his hand. Now, it's past 5 o'clock in the morning. The sky is already bright, and Enmu's face is clearly visible. Big man, you're going to be famous all over the meter soon. Episode 29. You're great. O'Neal looked at Enmu and said with some reluctance. Enmu smiled. Thank you for your affirmation, Shaq. O'Neal patted Enmu on the shoulder. You're about to enter the NBA, right? Judging by the strength you showed today, the lotto show is a sure thing. I'll be waiting for you in the NBA, but when you get into the NBA, everything changes. NBA-level basketball games are not simple 2v2. At that time, I will let you see what a full-strength shark is. Enmu smiled. Shaq, don't forget, I don't have the help of others today, so when you get to the NBA, you will still be defended by me. O'Neal's eyes were deep. Man, when you come to the NBA, let's say these big words. I hope you can come to the NBA soon. I'm waiting for you. The two high-fived. Later, O'Neal greeted Kobe Bryant and Nash and turned to leave. Looking at the back of O'Neal leaving, Kobe suddenly felt, why is this big shark in the NBA a little lonely? Is it because of losing to Enmu? However, I have to say that Enmu is really powerful. Wait until O'Neal is completely out of sight of the three people. Nash jumped directly onto Enmu's back. He cheered. And you beat O'Neal. Oh my God. That's O'Neal. You beat him. You didn't let him score a goal. He also sent you an NBA invitation. Dude. Kobe looked at Enmu with envy. This guy, it's really amazing. However, I am not bad. MU defeated the Magic's All-Star center O'Neal. But he also once defeated the Philadelphia 76ers scout show Starkhouse. So, we are all NBA players who have blown up. So, we are actually all on the same starting line. However, Kobe knew in his heart. Even though O'Neal and Starkhouse are both NBA players, there is a huge gap between the two of them. O'Neal, an All-Star center, is one of the 4 major centers and has led the team to the NBA Finals. And what about Starkhouse? Since he entered the NBA, he has not achieved anything. Therefore, I am still a little worse than Enmu. So Bryant plans to find a balance in Nash's body. Steve, you're going to work hard. Now that and has defeated the Great Shark and I have defeated Starkhouse, what about you? You haven't blown out any NBA players yet. When Nash heard this, he looked at Kobe suspiciously. Have you forgotten? Just now I broke through O'Neal and made a layup. And I are a team, and our Silicon Valley duo defeated your OK combination. So, when and defeated O'Neal, I also defeated O'Neal. Kobe, that counts? Why not? Kobe. O'Neal returned to the hotel at dawn. On the way back to the hotel, O'Neal's heart was very uncalm. He was actually defeated by a kid who was still in college? Oh my God. What kind of thing is this? The strength of this guy made O'Neal feel a lot of pressure. If he gets into the NBA, then there's a good chance he'll be a big rival for me. O'Neal actually started to get nervous. Can't slack off. This guy is still in college, so he can suppress me like this. When he gets into the NBA and the technology matures, what do I do? After arriving at the hotel, he went straight to the gym and began to frantically poke iron. At this time, Jordan had already started fitness at the hotel. His breakfast club has now been held. Although because of the all-star relationship, he was unable to practice with his teammates. But Jordan still hasn't given up on his demands. Seeing O'Neal walk into the gym, Jordan said in surprise. Shaq, you actually came to the gym? O'Neal said, yes, you, the defeated generals, have come to fitness. I, the winner, naturally have to maintain my training intensity. After hearing the 4 words, defeated by his subordinates, Jordan's eyes suddenly showed a murderous aura. Shaq, Jordan said in a solemn tone, this season, I will beat you. This season, the champion will be the Bulls. Not only this season, next season, the champion will be the Bull. O'Neal's somewhat dull mood of being defeated by Enmu at this time affected him at this moment. Michael, if I can beat you once, I can beat you a second time. After he said this, he walked directly to the fitness equipment and prepared to dry. At this time, Jordan's fluttering words came, without Penny's Hardaway, you are nothing. O'Neal scoffed and shot back, without Pippen, you are nothing. So, for some time to come, the two of them sprayed in the gym like this. The paranoid and crazy Jordan, the O'Neal who has just been defeated in a bad mood. No one will let anyone. This situation continued until the All-Star game in the evening. When Enmu warmed up with the Eastern Conference All-Star, he was also ready to watch O'Neal show his skills on the court, and the classic scene of singles Jordan on his back to shake Jordan away. As a result, I didn't see it. Is it my crossing that has changed the trajectory of history? Enmu thought. This situation has also continued in the game. Jordan didn't pass O'Neal once, and after O'Neal grabbed the frontcourt rebound, he didn't pass the ball to Jordan at all. The Eastern Conference All-Stars are also a little confused about their teammates. Obviously, it was good before. Why did the two of them suddenly start to have such a situation since this morning? Little did they know that O'Neal had encountered the Waterloo of his career on the street court in San Antonio at 4 o'clock in the morning. Speaking of street courts, it has now begun to be rebuilt. Oh my God, this is the arrival of a big shark, right? A basket was bent, and a basketball hoop fell apart. Construction workers sighed as they looked at the collapsed basketball hoop. Although Jordan and O'Neal have a conflict, the strength of the Eastern Conference All-Stars is unquestionable. O'Neal, Hill, Pippen, Jordan, Hardaway. The Bulls and Magic each occupy the 2 All-Star starting lineups. Good offense and defense. The whole game was also very exciting. In the end, Jordan won his All-Star MVP in his first All-Star game after his comeback. After the All-Star break, the Bulls will continue their 72-10 record with their 42-5 record. And Enmu and Nash are also leaving San Antonio. Coming to see the All-Stars is equivalent to a vacation given to them by David. Once back, they're ready to focus on preparing for March Madness. And I'll keep an eye on you. When I win the state championship, I'll go to your scene and cheer you on. You must hold on until we finish winning the state championship. Don't get eliminated early. See you in the draft. San Antonio Airport, Kobe Bryant and Silicon Valley bid farewell. Your men are defeated, don't worry. As the Silicon Valley duo who beat O'Neal, we will be the champions of this season. I don't know why, Kobe has a feeling that he wants to make people intimidated. Nash is usually such a gentleman. After seeing Kobe, he couldn't help but mix with Kobe. Nash said proudly to Kobe. When Kobe heard this, he spread his hands a little helplessly. He somewhat regretted yesterday's decision. If he had formed a team with Enmu at that time. So now he is the character who defeated O'Neal and Starkhouse in high school. People who can achieve such achievements in high school are probably the only ones in history, right? Unfortunately, he missed the opportunity to become the #1 high school student in history. There was an opportunity that was placed in front of me. I did not cherish him, and when I lost it, I regretted it. Enmu and Kobe gave high fives and said, "Come on, high school student." As a result, his words were exchanged for Kobe's white eyes. The three waved goodbye. But they all know that after 3 months, their identity will also change. From college players, high school players, to professional players. And when the three are on board, Kino from the New York Times also rushed to New York with videos and photos of the OK Group versus Silicon Valley duo. Big news. Big news. Now Kino is like an arrow. Episode 30. You are not alone. Another day has gone. A dormitory at the University of Massachusetts. Marcus Camby hummed MJ's song and went to the living room to pick up the newspaper on the coffee table. March Madness is about to begin. The New York Times will definitely publish a column. My draft pick prediction for this year is in the top 3. They'll definitely analyze my March Madness this year. Haha, Marcus, under your wise leadership, the University of Massachusetts will definitely win the NCAA championship. Camby opened the newspaper as he YY. As a result, the headline on the first page of the newspaper made him dumbfounded. Shock. The mysterious giant hangs the shark Oni, isn't it? After seeing this title, Camby was visibly stunned. O'Neal is in full swing right now. There are very few centers in the NBA that can limit him. Able to hang O'Neal's existence? And still a mysterious giant? That said, this person is not an NBA player. A passerby player? Huh. Camby laughed a little. In this world, can there be such a coincidence? He was suddenly hung by Enmu, the center of the Celestial Empire, some time ago, which is definitely a rare thing in 100 years. O'Neal can also encounter such a thing? No way. Camby shook his head and thought to himself, there must be a passerby center who scored a goal with luck under O'Neal's defense. The New York Times is true. Did you rely on gimmicks to boost your sales? It seems that I will consider unsubscribing from such newspapers in the future. For O'Neal's blow-up, Camby absolutely did not believe it. Let me see how this passerby hung the big shark. Camby felt his eyes turn into fiery eyes at this time. You can see through all the falsehoods in the newspaper and go straight to the depths of the heart of the journalist who compiled this article. San Antonio at 4 o'clock in the morning, an unoccupied field. O'Neal and 3 passersby detached PK. The mysterious giant successively buckled, blocked O'Neal, and finally broke the basketball hoop. Camby looked at the contents of the newspaper and smiled. Medea, this reporter is really interesting. Did he mess up the protagonist? This should be the plot that happened to O'Neal, right? Did the editor of the New York Times get drunk and let this Kino publish the article? It's outrageous. Camby set his sights to the end of the article like a joke. At the end of the article, it happens to be the picture of Amu Partition O'Neal. Yellow race? Camby looked at the picture and frowned. Then he took a closer look at the pitch. Then, he saw a white man. This one is Steve Nash, the combination of yellow center plus white guard. There is no second in the NCAA except for Santa Clara University. At American Street Stadium, such a combination is almost not seen. Oh my God. No way. Camby's pupils were instantly dilated. Could it be that O'Neal really met Amu? Immediately, he saw the text at the bottom of the newspaper. The reporter has a video left, and this video will be shown on ESPN TV at 7 p.m. The article is accompanied by only one picture, but this picture is too convincing. He carefully reread the article from beginning to end. Amu blew up O'Neal? Amu shaved O'Neal's bald head on the street court in San Antonio? Camby is now 80% sure that that person is Amu. But there was still some luck in his heart. Maybe it's someone else? The NBA All-Star is in San Antonio, and a lot of people around the world will go to see it, maybe European players? Camby kept finding reasons to convince himself. Since being hammered by Amu in the warm-up game, Camby has put in too much effort this season. He also proved his strength with data after being blasted by Amu. He just didn't perform well in the face of Amu. In addition to facing Amu, Camby is still one of the NCAA's best centers. 7 o'clock in the evening. Camby bit the words heavily. I want to see if it's you. Amu, Orlando, Villa area. O'Neal got up in the morning, picked up the New York Times and began to read. Shock. The mysterious giant hangs the shark Oni. After seeing this title, O'Neal felt his mood constantly falling. He read the article carefully. He was surprised to find that the game was completely described in this article. It's as if the author who wrote the article completely witnessed the whole process. Was there anyone else next to the stadium at the time? Please, it's still early in the morning. Someone actually saw it? And not only pictures, but also videos? It's going to play at 7 o'clock in the evening? O'Neal slumped on the couch. Damn God. Did you send that kid named Amu to trick me? Originally being blown up by Amu had already made O'Neal very uncomfortable. Now, all the videos of him being blasted by Amu are actually going to be put in front of the whole meter audience? Use a more popular term in Amu's previous life to describe O'Neal's current situation. Social death. O'Neal left home in a desperate mood and drove a luxury car to the training gym to train. But as soon as he entered the training gym, he found that his teammates were looking at him with strange eyes. Shaq, is that thing true? Pince Hardaway asked O'Neal first. I remember when I went to you after 6, you weren't in the room. O'Neal raised his hand and interrupted Pince's words. That's right, it's me. His affirmation made all the Magic players present open their mouths in surprise. So, who's that kid? All the Magic players except Hardaway did not even dare to come out of the atmosphere at this time. Who is it? O'Neal simply broke the jar and broke. A college student. Shaq, are you lying to me? I've never heard of a center like this in the NCAA. Tim Duncan can't beat you like that, can he? Hardaway said incredulously. At the same time, he also understood in his heart why O'Neal's temper was so grumpy during the All-Star game. If he had been shaved by a college student in a heads-up, he could blow up the arena. The newspaper said the video was shown at 7 o'clock. It's not bad to take a look when the time comes. Looking at the black-faced shark, Pince Hardaway thought to himself, what kind of college student can beat a proud shark like this?